Hey gang, Nick with Red Ox Insurance Agency here. Quick video to give you 5 tips on how to get the best insurance rate for your trucking company. So if you go to my website, redoxinsurance.com, you're going to see a trucking quote request form. And in that form is everything I need to get the best possible quote for you, the best possible rate. So tip number 1 is most websites have that. Most trucking insurance agencies have that quote request form. If they don't, they're going to ask for that information over the phone. Tip number 1 is to make sure you fill that form out correctly. Don't skip things. Don't not put the VIN number. Don't, not put if you have a lien holder or not. Don't skip anything. Like, fill that out correctly. Sometimes I'll get a quote request form and it barely has their name and phone number and email address on there, maybe, and not much else after that. So when I get that, I think, well, this guy's not serious. They're not even filling out the quote request form. So how they expect me to get them the best rate possible when I don't have all the information? I'll give them a call to get that information and they may or may not pick up. I mean, they're getting beat up by millions of agents calling them to try to get their business. So odds are they're not going to pick up the phone. So that's tip number 1. Fill out the form to the best of your ability. Tip number 2 is to get a copy of your motor vehicle report for you and your drivers, if you have drivers. If it's just you, pick up a copy of your motor vehicle report. Make sure you tell the agent whether anything's on there or not. Back in the old days, like last year, insurance companies were only looking at the last 3 years on your motor vehicle report for moving violations and at-fault accidents. Well, now most of them are switching to 5 years. So they're going to go back 5 years to see if anything's on your motor vehicle report. So you don't necessarily always have to share that MVR with the agent up front, but when you're filling out the quote request form or you're telling them over the phone all your information, when they ask you, do you have any moving violations or at-fault accidents, you can be sure that you don't or that you do. If you do, make sure you tell that agent that so that they can account for that when they start getting quotes for you. Because there's nothing worse than sending somebody a quote after they've told me that they don't have any moving violations or at-fault accidents, and then when it gets to the time to run the motor vehicle report, something pops up that whether they forgot to mention it or maybe they thought that they could get away with it. And then all of a sudden that premium just gets completely insane. Let's head that off up front. Make sure we're honest with the agent so that they can account for that, so that you know up front what you're looking at from an insurance standpoint. If you've been in business for a while, tip number 3, if you've been in business for a while, get a copy of your IFTAs. Your insurance agent is going to want to get a copy of your IFTAs. Insurance agent really doesn't want it. Insurance companies want it. So obtain a copy of your IFTAs. And then tip number 4, if you've been in business for a while, get a copy of your loss runs from your current insurance company. If you've been in business for a long while, the last 3 years of your loss runs would be acceptable. And then tip number 5, you're going to get, I suggest talking to at least 3 different agents. Give them a call or check out their website. Make sure that they specialize in trucking. They're just not some personal auto insurance agency that writes trucking on the side and may or may not be an expert in it. You want to make sure that you're dealing with an expert. Okay, so pick 3 trucking agencies that specialize in trucking and give each agent the same information. If you give me half truth and somebody else the whole truth and somebody else 3/4 the truth of your business operation, and you're going to get 3 different premiums, you can't compare an apples to apples quote. So if you give everybody the same information, let them go to work for you, wait till you get quotes back, and then you can compare the quotes apple to apple. You get a quote from me, I'm going to put everything in a spreadsheet that I'm going to send you, and it's going to be Red Ox, column number 1, Red Ox. Here's all the coverages, and here's the price, and here's the down payment. Here's how many payments you have to make. And then I put column 2, agent number 2, column 3, agent number 3, because I encourage you, hey, this is something I want you to look at and to help compare, to make sure you're comparing apples to apples. Because if I give you a quote for $1 million in coverage, somebody else gives you a quote for $750, well, theirs is going to be cheaper. And you may choose that, but you may not realize that it's not for the same amount of coverage, which is what you need. So listen, just take these 5 tips, take them seriously. When you're going to the marketplace and you're trying to get quotes, you want to make sure you're giving accurate information so you can get an accurate quote, so there is no surprises. It's easy for an insurance agent to start a policy for you with inaccurate information and save a little bit of money, you think. But what happens is these insurance companies have a free look period. So that's like, usually, it depends by state, usually the first 30 to 60 days after the policy's been written, that the insurance company dots I's, crosses T's, and they make sure that the policy was written correctly, that it was started correctly, that it was quoted correctly. Any inaccuracies, they have the right to change, and then you get a letter from them saying, hey, sorry, your insurance rate is going up because of this. You don't want to do that. You don't want any surprises. So my advice, take these 5 tips. If there's anything I can do for you, comment below, shoot me an email, go to my website. Information's below. Happy to help you any way I can. Best of luck to you.